Hello and welcome to the Corona Yoga Challenge. Today is day 85. Please make sure that you're checking my website to make sure that you're adapting poses so that they are safe for you. And I think it's over there or there. There's a little square box, I think it's that way, at the bottom, and that's where you can subscribe. I'm getting very, very savvy here. I know actually what's going on maybe. We're going to come into all fours to start with. So if you want to bring yourself to a comfortable kneeling or all fours position so that you have got space between your hands, a little bit of space between your knees. You're going to start by sliding your hips forwards and back, just doing a couple of easy slides where you start to become a little bit more in tune with how your body is right now and how your breathing is as well. So you're wanting to gently slow the body down so that you can start to synchronise your breath with the movement. So we can be a little bit more in touch with a deeper part of ourselves. Bringing yourself back to all fours, you're just going to let your hips come from one side to the other side. Again, just a couple of times, and then hips are going to come back to the centre. So you can lift up through the back of the body, up through the tummy, and release the head down. Lengthening out, looking between your hands or a little bit beyond. And then same thing, almost like you're uncurling or curling up towards the ceiling. And release out and down. We're going to come onto our elbows to do a little bit of work in a version of plank pose. So if you've got long t-shirt on or long sleeves on, if you just slide them up so that you've got really good contact between your elbows and the floor. And from a kind of long all fours position, I've just got the palms of my hands together so that I can keep a little bit gentle through my hands and shoulders sinking away. From here you're going to lift up with your legs so you come into straightish legs. And then from here let your hips come down towards the floor so that, again, hips higher makes it a little bit easier, hips lower makes it a little bit harder, so go with how it's going to be right for your body. So from here we've got the option of rolling onto one side or to the outside of the foot. So you've got one foot just stacked on top of the other one. You're going to bring yourself back to the centre, so back to nice and neutral, and then over to the other side. Rolling yourself back up onto the balls of your feet. Let your knees come down to the floor for a moment. Walk your hands back and your hips back so you can come to child's pose and the back of the body can relax. Take an easy breath out. And then if you bring yourself back and into all fours. So we're going to do the same thing with the option of taking one hand away from the floor. So do work with your knees on the floor if that's better for you, or just with kind of a straightforward position. So you're going to bring yourself into your version of plank pose. So if it's knees on the floor, then that's absolutely grand. Most important thing is that there's that little lift through the pelvic floor, a little lift through the tummy, so we're safe and protected. From here you can roll slightly towards, let the hip come up if you want. Now the hand that's going to be on the floor, I quite like to move my fingertips slightly towards the front. And then you might find that it's not too challenging to let your hand come up. And then bring your hand back down. Bring yourself to even feet, so hips both facing the floor. Let's bring these down for a moment. Stretch your hips back so we lengthen through the arms. And then we're going to do the opposite side. So from all fours, I've got my hands now facing straight forwards rather than joined together because we're going to possibly come to one side. So you're going to lift your hips up, bring yourself into your plank pose if it's comfortable, or elbow plank pose. Roll yourself over onto one side. The hand that's going to stay on the floor, fingertips can move towards the opposite edge of your mat. And then if you'd like to, free hand can float up and away. And then bringing your free hand onto the floor so the palm comes down. Roll your heels up, bring your knees down, and then sink your hips back to your heels. Take a nice easy breath into the back of your body. And then bringing yourself into all fours, we're going to bring ourselves up to a standing forward bend, so it's just walking your hands back towards your feet. Hips lift up, knees stay a little bit soft, you're folding forwards so that you're just allowing your crown of your head to come in the direction of the floor, but knees remain a little bit soft so we protect the back. And then you're going to bend through your knees, spread wide and up through your hands, all the way up and overhead, and then hands come down to your heart. We're going to do a standing pose now, so if you want to bring yourself to a comfortable position where you're facing the short edge of your mat. You're going to take a step forwards along your mat, so both feet are facing straight forwards. Hands going to come onto your front leg. You're going to ease your shoulders forwards, so we've got that nice long back feeling. Legs can be further apart if you would like. You're going to let your free hand come out, fold at the elbow to settle it onto the back of your shoulder blade if comfortable. You can let yourself sink a little bit lower if it feels good, being really mindful of across the lower back. So that if anything, the sensations of work are in the legs, maybe a little bit across the tummy, maybe a little bit across the upper back, but not so much. Not when we're doing this bit anyway. And then gently ease yourself open and out if you would like to. So your elbow is coming upwards. And then bring yourself back to elbow pointing along the short edge of your mat. Press down through your feet. Bring yourself back up. So we get for a moment that feeling of that lengthening up through the elbow. And then step yourself all the way out and back to standing. We're going to do the opposite leg now. I almost find this difficulty because I'm trying to think of which way I should be doing it so that I'm not speaking to the wall. I have to come this way, don't I? I'm going to do whichever way happens. So you're going to take a nice step forward with one foot. So you've got a nice long distance between the legs. You're going to let one hand come onto your front leg. You're going to ease yourself up and forward. So nice comfortable movement. So if you are right way up here, that's absolutely perfect. Back needs to be comfortable. Legs need to be working strongly, steadily, evenly. You're going to take your hand out in front, fold it onto the back of your body, and then ease it up and round if you would like. So you get that feeling of extending up through the elbow, gentle, very gentle through the hand on the leg, so that we're supporting ourselves with our muscles, not with the joints. And then bring yourself back to facing the short edge of your mat. Press down through your feet to bring yourself up, and back to both feet standing. So just settle into the heels slightly, get that feeling of the weight just slightly spreading back, and then as the weight spreads back into the back of the body and the heels, we also just get a natural gentle lift up and underneath the diaphragm, which then means the shoulders can really soften and the back of the neck can start to lengthen. We're going to come down to the floor now, so we're going to have our feet out in front, so do take a block if you know that sitting on the floor with a block is much more comfortable for you. So again, often, just about always thinking about the lower back, the back of the body, how can we allow the spine to have a kind of natural length in it in a way that's comfortable and helpful. So for instance, here's the back of my body, if I had to sit in this sort of position with if this is as far forwards as I could come with the lower back, I'll be much better to take a block so that whilst my legs were in the same position, I could lift up a bit more. So it's so important that you're adapting, not so that you feel like, oh, I need a block or whatever, but so that your spine has got a good position so that you can get a kind of helpful position for your spine. When we get the spine into good position, the rest of our health kind of improves with that. So you're going to have a tiny little bit of space between your knees. You can have your feet bent up, and you're going to have your hand, one arm just resting onto your leg. And it's so important. We're going to see if we can really soften through the elbow, shoulder, through the elbow, through the wrist, through the hands to the fingers. And then your free hand's going to come onto the floor, and you're gently going to ease round. Now, as you ease round, can you now think about the hand that's on the floor on that side? Can you soften into the shoulder, into the elbow, into the hand, into the fingers? Now gently bring yourself round. And then very, very smoothly, easily bring yourself back and to the centre. And then we're going to come to the opposite side. So elbow's going to rest onto your arm, onto your leg. We're softening through the shoulder, through the elbow, through the wrist, through the fingers. Free hand comes onto the floor. We start to bring ourselves round and then consciously soften into the shoulder, elbow, hand, fingertips that are on the floor. So do allow the body to work and feel movement and feel activity, but make sure there's some key areas which are restful. And then bring yourself all the way back to the centre. You're going to extend your legs or bring your toes up and away from the floor. You're going to fold yourself forwards over your legs and just allow your head to rest in towards yourself so that you're, however bent or straight your legs are, that we're looking for that really soft feeling across the back of the body. So that kind of gentle widening out and that little bit of time where you close in and find that quiet space. And then walking your hands back up your legs to bring yourself all the way back to sitting. We're going to do a little bit of breathing now, so if you want to bring yourself to a comfortable position for you. So it can be any position where the spine is lengthened, and usually much better to be sitting, so because when we lie we are compressing, well not compressing, but we are not allowing the back of the body to move as freely as if we're upright, where we can expand in all three directions. 3 directions? Yeah. In all directions. So you're just going to start by allowing your breathing to become very, very easy and relaxed. So you're going to notice where in your body you're breathing most of all just now. And then you're going to take your hands to wherever that area is. So wherever you feel like this area is moving most, just take your hands to that area. Or the area that you're most aware of. And then if your hand is on your diaphragm, you're going to move it down just maybe 2 centimetres. If your hand is on your belly, you're just going to make it move again. Just move wherever your hand is, move it just down just a touch. So that you can focus your breath into your hands here. So we're just moving the hands down a little bit so that we can gradually allow the breathing to feel a little bit longer, a little bit easier, a little bit smoother. So if you, when you bring your hand down and breathe into this area, it actually makes your breath stutter unintentionally, then bring your hand a little bit higher again. So it's important that this is a really gradual process of allowing the breath to settle slightly lower in the body. Because we want the breath to be entirely comfortable. So my challenge for you today is to see if you can find a bird flying. So you might have to do it online if you're not in the country, or if there aren't any birds flying because it's too windy or too rainy. Find an image of in fact it's Fortet. If you look up Fortet baby, there's a lovely video of a baby flying, an eagle flying. It's a beautiful video for me anyway, beautiful music. But see if you can, if you can't find one in real life, go find that, it's wonderful. And see if you can watch the way a bird flies and moves in the air, and see if you can kind of get into that kind of space of how does that feel for the bird, so that when you're then doing yoga, that you can get that feeling of that kind of space underneath the armpits and underneath the lower arms, and that feeling of how can we let the rib cage, arms, upper body open and direct movement. So often we can think of directing movement coming from the feet, from the legs, from the grounding, which is absolutely vital. But today the challenge is to find the direction from the arms, if that makes any sense whatsoever to you. If it doesn't, let it go. Beautiful. So, quote for the day. It's quite a long one, so I'm just going to read it once. It's from Sun Tzu from the Tang Dynasty. The tale of nurturing life requires that one keep oneself as fluid and flexible as possible. One should not stay still for too long, nor should one exhaust oneself by trying to perform impossible tasks. One should learn how to exercise from nature by observing the fact that flowing water never stagnates, and a busy door with active hinges never rusts or rots. Why? Because they exercise themselves perpetually and are almost always moving. So, nice little idea of not doing too much, not doing too little. I have way gone over time today, so time to go. I hope you have a lovely day. Thank you.